a light in the sky, rising in the air. There's a feeling so strong. It's time to light the fire, like a bright shining light. Learn, getting more out of life. Love, sharing time with friends, feeling so strong.
Hello, welcome to the House of Wellness. I'm Luke Darcy and I'm here with my friend and co-host, the very talented Joe Stanley. Welcome, Joe.
Oh, it's great to be here, Darcy, and almost back to normal life. We've got shops, gyms, cafes reopening, schools back. Yes. And I've got to ask, how happy are you that sport is starting up?
Seriously excited, Joe. Big part of my life. The AFL's back, the NRL's back, and I'm pretty excited about the junior sport as well. I've got a house full of kids who are desperate to get out and play. How about Willow? Is she excited to get out and play?
Yes, we've started basketball training. No games yet, but at least the kids are running around and getting physical. It's great.
Well, to celebrate sport coming back, we've got some legends from on and off the field. My old mate, Eddie Maguire, we're going to put him in the House of Wellness hot seat. AFL champ Dame Booms and cricket legend Steve Smith open up about their battles with mental health. Really, really interesting interviews coming your way, Joe.
And that's all because it's Men's Health Week. So we're concentrating on the guys a bit more than usual, covering a few things that some men find uncomfortable or tricky to talk about, Das.
Well, let's start with the bowels, Joan. I know that's normally your part of the anatomy. It's not an easy thing to talk about, let's be honest, but 1 in 11 men will develop bowel cancer in their lifetime, which is a shocking stat. It's a lot of people, but a good start is to know the warning signs. And as we know, Joe, early detection is the key.
Yeah. Heinzie takes us on a virtual trip to the Mediterranean to give us the gold on olive leaf, and GQ is back with the answers to some of your burning health questions.
Well, as we said, sport's back, and one man who's making a big comeback is one of the all-time great Test batsmen, Steve Smith. Steve and the team are back in pre-season training after their one-day series against New Zealand was cancelled back in March, and he's used his time in lockdown to work on his physical and mental health. Right now, Steve reckons he's the fittest that he's ever been, Joe.
He's also been using his time as an ambassador for our mate Gus Worland's Gotcha for Life. He opened up to Luke Hines about his very public fall from grace, surviving dark times and the mental health message he wants kids especially to hear.
Steve, great to meet you.
Cheers.
Luke, come and have a chat, buddy.
He's one of the all-time great Test batsmen. But Steve Smith also knows the weight of infamy when it all comes crashing down.
I'll do everything I can to make up for my mistake and the damage it's caused.
It was one of the toughest moments in Steve Smith's career. Finding his way back took courage and extraordinary mental fitness.
Fortunately, I had a group of people around me that I was able to talk to and help me sort of get through the dark days that I had. And, you know, I still have difficult days here and there. I'm back playing, obviously, but I mentally prepared myself that it was going to be a challenge and, you know, the crowds were going to be, you know, very interesting. But for me, it was just about going out and doing my job. And when anyone sort of said anything, I sort of blocked it out. I didn't really recognise the crowd at all, so it was white noise, everything in the background. I didn't want to get distracted and, yeah, it sort of didn't let it get to me.
Steve Smith demonstrated what it's like to be human, that life often hits us for six, even if you're a sporting superstar.
For me in particular, like, people might think everything's going really good. I'm, you know, a professional cricketer and life looks great, but I also have my challenges as well, and to be able to sort of share those, and I guess these kids seeing people like me and other, you know, sports stars and things like that, knowing that they go through difficult times, you know, it might just put something into perspective for them in a way, and know that sort of everyone goes through difficult times and it's okay to, I guess, talk about it.
Now he's sharing that experience as part of his involvement with Gotcha for Life, a men's mental health initiative led by Gus Worland.
The fact that I've got Steve still supporting, you know, he had that year off and now he's playing so much, and every opportunity he has, a day off here and there, he rings me and says, let's do another school. You know, he's absolutely passionate and fired up for that.
We spoke about going around to schools and talking about sort of what I'd been through and talking how I sort of got through things. And we've got some really good feedback from a lot of the schools after the talks, saying that some kids have come forward and wanted to get some help, and even just one kid coming forward out of all the schools, that's making a difference.
Apart from the intense scrutiny of being in the public eye, the added layer of social media means there's no escape. It's something that many of our kids deal with every day.
I used to read everything on social media, and it's like riding a roller coaster. You're a good bloke, you're an awful human being, you're a whatever. It's riding a roller coaster, and it's not good for your mind and sort of your well-being. So I think for your mental well-being, it's important to sort of keep yourself away from it as much as you can.
Steve is happy to talk tactics on mental self-preservation, but he knows that the wider conversation has to change.
The old school mentality of men just having to bottle everything up and just take everything on themselves and not show any emotion, I think that's old school and outdated. I think now it's about being able to talk about what you're going through, sharing your feelings, letting your emotions out, and when you do that, you actually feel better. I've had some times where I've been really anxious, and you get that shortness of breath and that feeling of you just sort of don't feel well. But once you actually talk about whatever you're going through, I think you start to feel better, and the more you can do that, and the more you can get things off your chest and not let things sort of build up inside of you, then I think you're going to be better in the long run.
Oh, what a role model Steve is, and an incredible inspiration. When you've got people the calibre of Steve Smith, Joe, talking as openly and vulnerably as he does, it's incredibly powerful.
Yeah, stories like that make you realise that looking after our mental health is normal and necessary, no matter who you are.
Yeah, stick around. When you come back, another incredible story. AFL superstar Dane Beams shares his remarkable story around mental health. That's next on the House of Wellness. Welcome back. Today we're focusing on the all-important area of keeping our minds motivated and healthy as part of Men's Health Week. Joe?
Experts are predicting a surge in the need for mental health support as the after effects of the pandemic kick in. For around a third of Aussies who are vulnerable or already have mental health problems, the repercussions of the pandemic are, of course, amplified.
Yeah, it's rattled a lot of people, Joe, no doubt about that. But mental health is something that needs constant attention, pandemic or not.
We heard from cricket legend Steve Smith before the break, and another sporting hero who's been incredibly open about his mental health battle is AFL midfielder Dane Beams.
Yeah, he's traded in his footy boots for paintbrushes, Joe, would you believe? And these days, he's a champion for mental health. I caught up with the star midfielder in his art studio.
Can't get any purchase on the kick. Here he is, Beams, steps on through.
From a premiership win with Collingwood to being crowned captain of the Brisbane Lions, Dane Beams has achieved many of the biggest goals for any AFL player.
Beams within range, and he knew it, and now we all do. Lovely goal from Dane Beams.
But when his father passed away 2 years ago, his whole world changed overnight.
Back onto it and back amongst the goals.
Footy was a big part of me and my dad's relationship, so yeah. The year that he died, it was just, to be honest, I didn't enjoy footy at all. It was just such an emotional roller coaster that, I just couldn't see any sort of joy in it. I would get to games just drained, emotionally drained. And I mean, you know yourself how, you got to be up for the fight, particularly at the top level. And I was just sort of, somehow I managed to have probably one of my best years of my career as well. So I don't know how, because deep down I was just, I was a mess.
Spectacular, inspirational.
After struggling for some time, in 2019, Dane made the tough call to step away from footy indefinitely.
I went to a mental health organisation facility last year. Spent 3 weeks there, and part of the program there was art therapy, and never thought I'd enjoy it, but at that point I was at a really low stage in life, and I just went there with an open mind and decided to give everything a go. And you know, I was in the art room literally every single day there. Like, it was something that I just enjoyed doing it. Yeah, in many ways, like, this has saved my life, to be honest.
Until last year, Dane didn't think he had an artistic bone in his body. Today, he's got his very own art studio.
Everything I do is quite abstract, so it's quite unique, that the stuff that I create.
And this, you hear the term art therapy, and you literally were getting art therapy. What does that mean?
Well, it's just a form of, I guess, it's just a form of relaxation. So, like yoga, obviously you do a lot of stretching and, you know, breathing and that sort of thing. Whereas this is like, you know, people always sort of say, like, when they sort of watch it, they sort of say it's, you know, that actually is quite therapeutic. Like, looking at that, the colour move around, and yeah, it's sorry, I'm mesmerised by it.
I can see you get into it, and I can see it in real life.
You know, my personality hasn't probably been suited to the AFL environment. Like, I'm quite a shy, introverted person. You know, I'm a really caring person, but, like, I don't like big crowds. I don't like lots of big personalities. I like my own space, I like my own time. That's why I love this place. I come here and it's just me, and I'm so glad that I've actually found it, to be honest. Yeah.
Can I say, Dane, I've got enormous respect for the courage it takes to be as open and vulnerable as you are now. I come from a generation where it just wasn't the done thing, and, you know, I wonder if you realise how big an impact you're having on so many people.
I feel like the stuff that I talk about, I personally don't see it as being brave. Like, I see it as it actually helps me. Like you can ask anyone that's obviously, I reckon, you know, battled a mental illness. Like, when they actually talk about it with people, they always feel better about it. So, like, it helps me feel better about the situation, and I guess the domino effect of that is it helps others.
Dane donates a percentage of all his art sales towards the mental health foundation Love Me, Love You. As well as selling his paintings, he's also started offering art workshops.
I get a lot of people here that are struggling or have had struggles, so everyone sort of comes here, I think, and they love the environment and sort of feel like they're sort of at home, and they've got other people around them that are experiencing similar things to them maybe, and they can relate to that and bounce off at one another. I'd just say, like, invest time in your mental health, because, you know, I guess the stronger you are now, it's going to help you in the long run.
Well, I have to say, Joe, that was a really inspirational opportunity to catch up with Dane. I had no idea of the challenges that he'd been through, and the courage to talk as openly as he is at the moment, I think, is going to inspire a lot of people.
Yeah, and I think really powerful coming from a young guy like that lots of other men and boys look up to. So important. If you like what you saw in that story, you can check out more of Dane's art on his website, Health of Mind Art.
Yeah, I encourage you to do that. Dane's dad, Philip, passed away from bowel cancer in 2018, and as we heard, that hit Dane very hard. Bowel cancer impacts so many Australians, and a little later we'll look at the importance of screening and early detection.
Being proactive and eating good quality nutritious food are key weapons in the fight against bowel cancer. And as Heinzie found out, one of the healthiest ways to eat is to embrace a Mediterranean diet.
You guys are going to love my antioxidant-rich citrus cleanser, which is packed with delicious Mediterranean ingredients. Now, we've got your usual suspects here, such as your citrus, which is colourful and vibrant. We've got orange, lemon and lime. Powerful and potent garlic and ginger has to go in there. And, of course, hydrating and cooling cucumber brings everything together. Now, of course, all of these are packed with antioxidants in their own right, but I've got a secret weapon up my sleeve, and that is olive leaf extract. That's right, an extract that comes not from the fruit, but the leaf of the olive plant. And it's grown right here in Queensland.
We tend to have hot, dry summers here most of the time and cool, mild winters. And that's just the perfect conditions for growing olive trees.
Olive leaf extract from ancient olive trees is one of nature's antioxidant-rich ingredients. Plus, you can incorporate it into your diet daily. And the best news is, it's harvested fresh every day.
We start picking early in the morning and within hours, the polyphenols are extracted from the leaf and This is done to ensure we retain as much of the natural occurring polyphenols as possible. Polyphenols are a particular group of antioxidant or plant antioxidant that help keep the plant healthy, and we consume them as a part of our healthy daily diets. The main polyphenol in olive leaf extract is oleuropein. It's thought to be responsible for many beneficial effects and is one of the better known olive polyphenols.
Excess free radicals put pressure on the body, including our immune system, and it's the addition of powerful antioxidants that help support our body against any excess free radical damage. Plus, when combined with these other fresh Mediterranean ingredients, you end up with the perfect and healthy way to start your day. I created this recipe as a fantastic way to look after my general well-being and support my immune system. Let's be honest, I don't think I'm flying to Greece anytime soon, so this is a fantastic way to bring a bit of ancient Mediterranean wisdom into my kitchen today. Cheers.
Well, you're never too old or too young to focus on your health. Bowel cancer is on the rise amongst younger people, and after the break, we meet an Aussie survivor and find out how early detection is saving lives. That's right here on the House of Wellness. You're watching the House of Wellness. 4 words you don't expect to hear when you're young are you have bowel cancer. Yet each year, more than 1,400 young Australians are diagnosed with this disease. Joe?
The risk of developing bowel cancer increases sharply from the age of 50, but the number of Aussies under 50 now being diagnosed is on the rise. You're Never Too Young is an initiative of Bowel Cancer Australia helping younger people understand the risk.
James Ricky experienced early symptoms when he was just 40. After surviving surgery and treatment, James wants everyone to know that being young does not make you immune to bowel cancer.
Before I got diagnosed, we just had my son, Brax. He'd probably a week before, and I'd been feeling a little bit, not a little bit off. Well, I guess you could say that, but I thought I'd just put it down to working hard because I was working and then going to the gym in the morning, coming home, it was just a long day. And I was having quite a bit of blood in my stool, but I just put that down to hemorrhoids because I'd had hemorrhoids all my life. I even looked at, checked Google when all this was happening, and Google said, one possible cause could be bowel cancer. But because I didn't have any other symptoms, because I was, I was only 40, I thought, it can't be that. The day after Brax was born in the hospital, I went to the toilet and there's just a big leakage of blood, like having a blood nose. So I thought, this isn't right. So I made an appointment to see the doctor, I think a few days later. Went and saw him, explained to him the symptoms, what had happened. He gave me a quick check. Couldn't see anything. Said, you're too young, too healthy. And I said, should I go for a colonoscopy? He said, wouldn't worry too much about it. I just thought, no, I better go. I better just go and get it checked out just in case. I want to make sure I'm here to see Brax grow up and here to take care of Jojo and the family. So, and I did. I went and got the colonoscopy and, they found a 4.5 centimetre tumour. At the point of my diagnosis, they weren't sure whether it was stage 2 or stage 3, but their first perception was that it was just stage 2. And then they rushed me off to have chemo and radiation the week after. And I did 6 weeks of that. When you go through cancer, people deal with things differently. It's whatever you see fit to get you through. And my philosophy was to try and not feel sick. And a big part of that was keeping my weight. I knew as soon as I'd start losing weight, I knew that I was sick and I didn't want to feel that way. So I was trying to get as many calories into my body as I could. And because I was eating so much, I was going to the toilet. So it was like a double-edged sword. I was trying to stay healthy, but I knew that it would mean that I'd go to the toilet more often, but I just chose to do that. But it was excruciating. It was probably one of the worst parts of the treatment. Come here. And the plan was to do the 6 weeks of chemo and radiation, let my body heal, and when it's strong enough, which would be probably about 4 weeks later, they'd go in and remove the cancer and attach the colostomy bag. When I went in for the operation, they discovered that it was actually stage 3, which meant they took the lymph nodes out, and then When I was about 6 weeks after the operation, when I was strong enough, they gave me another dose, a follow-up dose of chemotherapy, which was 12 weeks of intensive chemotherapy. The last chemo that I had, I remember standing up and I felt like defeated. It was the first time that I felt defeated through the whole ordeal. I just nearly fainted. But then about a second later, just this moment of euphoria just came over me, knowing that it was over. So it was a really weird feeling. Just the difference in emotions, you know, from despair, the bottom of the barrel, to, you know, just feeling, oh, this is over. I feel it's amazing. I'm finally through it. It'll be 5 years in December that I've since I had my last chemo. It just changes your whole way of thinking. Once you get through it, once you get to the other side, you just appreciate the fundamental things and the simple things, and you don't whine about anything. And, you know, I remember after my chemo, I wasn't able to drink cold water because my throat muscles were just really stiff, and I had to drink warm water for about, 3 or 4 months. So now every time I take a cold glass of water, I just appreciate and enjoy it. I think people have the perspective that bowel cancer is an old man's or an old person's cancer. I had the same perspective, which is why when I was going through the symptoms, I thought it can't be bowel cancer because it only happens to old people, people over 60 or whatever. So yeah, I count my lucky stars. I'm as unlucky as I was to get cancer. I'm just very lucky that events played out the way they did, which allowed me to get through it.
Oh, Nelly. So James's story is a reminder that bowel cancer isn't just an old person's disease, Joe.
It also proves that you should listen to your instinct when it comes to your body, and don't be afraid to get a second or third opinion if you feel something isn't right.
You might not have any symptoms during the early stages of bowel cancer, which is why screening is so important. We'll continue the chat after the break with bowel cancer expert Graham Newstead. That's next on the House of Wellness. You're watching the House of Wellness. Before the break, we met James Rickey, a survivor who developed bowel cancer at the age of 40, which seems incredibly young, Joe.
It really does, Dust. The disease is on the rise amongst younger people, and Bowel Cancer Australia's current message is you're never too young. It's Australia's second deadliest cancer, but it's also one of the most treatable if it's found early.
And I caught up with the Director of Bowel Cancer Australia, Dr Graham Newstead, to find out why we shouldn't wait until we're older to look after our bowels. Graham, we talk bowel cancer with you, and we know 103 Australians die every week with bowel cancer, but it's an eminently treatable disease. What should we be looking out for?
A change in bowel habit of any persistence. You ate funny food last night, no problem. But if it stays that way, absolutely that. And most importantly, blood in your bowel motion. And sort of a change, a concern, anything you see or you feel that's different, tummy ache, upset, cramping, etc. But that's really the last thing we want to find. We don't want to wait until we've got symptoms. We want to be proactive and do screening where it's important.
Now, Graham, we tend to think of bowel cancer as an older person's disease. That's not necessarily the case, is it?
It was for many, many years, and young people, when I was a medical student, did not get bowel cancer, except in very rare genetic circumstances. But actually, although the number of bowel cancers in Australia has increased over the years, the severity, the staging of the cancers has reduced in older people. In young people, we are starting to see the bowel cancers, however. We don't want to get it out of proportion because the majority of bowel cancers still occur in older people. But young people now make up 10% of the total of bowel cancers that occur each year in Australia. And with more than 16,000 bowel cancers in Australia, that's a lot of bowel cancers. That's 1,600 or so, 1,700 bowel cancers in younger people, and not just people of 48 or 49. We're talking about in their early 40s and in their 30s without necessarily a genetic factor in the background.
So, Graham, have you got a theory as to why when you grew up there weren't bowel cancers in younger people and there now are? What could be the reason?
We don't know the cause. We know that in older people, factors such as a sedentary lifestyle, obesity, poor dietary habits, diabetes are all important. But in younger people, there are no known factors other than if one happened to have a very strong family history of bowel cancer in younger members of the family. But otherwise, no, we don't know. My wife would say, who knows nothing about medicine whatsoever, that it's the packaged foods that we eat, the additives, the preservatives, and there may indeed be some good science in that. But at the moment, we don't have the exact science to say that.
Well, I want to meet your wife, Graham. She sounds like she's got a very forthright view.
They're not.
So we know the government sent out a test kit for bowel cancer at the age of 50. Should we be getting that a bit earlier, in your opinion?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
We would like to see the test kit sent out for people from at least 45 onwards, given what I said about the, about the 10% risk. Additionally, if I can say also that we would like to see people more than 74 receiving the test kit, because some Australians are actually living longer than 74 these days, and they deserve to also be tested.
Is there ever an over-testing? Do you get false positives at all in your space? Is that a risk for people?
Yeah, of course it is. The good news is, because don't forget, when we're doing the fecal occult blood test kit, that's the government kit that comes out, it's looking for blood in the bowel motion. It is not looking for polyps or cancer. So, of course, a lot of the positive tests that come back will be due to hemorrhoids. And people think, oh, I don't have hemorrhoids. Well, yes, you do. We're all born with them. They are normal anatomy. They're veins, bundles of veins in our anal canal. And we all have them. It's only when they get big enough to cause trouble, because the guys are constipated or the girls have had a baby, that we get them. So, yeah, we get false positives. But the important thing, having done the test and got the result, is to actually then check by colonoscopy to see that that positive is not due to anything important like big polyps or early bowel cancer. We're very comfy if we say, good news, it's due to hemorrhoids. Equally so, when you get your test kit, please do it and send it back. Otherwise, the 60% of people who don't return them yet because poo is yucky and they don't want to deal with it, they're missing out on the opportunity. And whether they be 45 or 65, they really need to return that kit.
Graham, I always enjoy talking to people who are passionate in their space, but I think you've taken it to a whole new level. I'm looking over your right shoulder, and I think there's a port. I don't know if you can zoom that camera in a little bit, but is that Dr. Graham Newstead inside a colon right there that I'm having a look at?
Well, yes, embarrassingly it is. I do get inside the bowel a lot, not quite as enthusiastically as this, but it was a very generous patient who said, I've got a painting for you, and that arrived, so I treasure that.
Hey, we're always very clear on your message, and that is to listen to the signs, to do the test early. As you said, it's a very preventable disease, bowel cancer, if you find out about it early enough. And we thank you for being such a great champion of the space that you work in. Good to see you again.
And thank you very much for allowing me to join you.
Well, Graham and James's message is very clear. Early detection saves lives. So use the month of June to get yourself a screening test, even if you're under 50, Joe.
From the under 50s to our babes in arms, around half of Aussie newborns have insufficient levels of vitamin D. Sun exposure isn't an option for infants, but vitamin D is vital for healthy bone development. Here's Heinzie and GQ with a healthy solution that puts the delicious into vitamin D.
GQ, you know I can't go past trying to add more nutrient density to each and every meal, so there's no better way to start your day than my gorgeous green omelette, which is packed with healthy greens.
So true, Heinzie. And omelettes are my go-to breakfast food. And eggs, they're full of nutrients, aren't they?
I'm glad you said that, because eggs are one of my favourites. They're packed with protein from the whites, healthy fats from the yolks, vitamins and minerals as well. But there's another nutrient in eggs which I absolutely love that you can't often get from food, and that's vitamin D.
Vitamin D, so hard to get from many foods, Heinzie, but eggs, terrific. Now, we normally get our vitamin D from the sun, so that's why it's called the sunshine vitamin. But you shouldn't go out in the sun without sufficient UV protection.
Absolutely, mate. It's all about slip, slop, slap before absorbing that vitamin D3. Hold that thought, because I want to blitz this together. GQ, who could benefit from more vitamin D in their life?
We all need vitamin D to make our bones nice and strong, Heinzie, but there is a group that need it especially, and that is the growing baby.
Of course, mate, because they've got that massive task of building a strong skeleton along with learning to walk and talk.
Not only that, Heinzie, but they need to grow good, strong, healthy teeth so they can enjoy this beautiful omelette that you're cooking. Now, breastfeeding delivers a lot of nutrients to babies, but vitamin D isn't particularly rich in breast milk. And in fact, about 50% of babies born in Australia and New Zealand have insufficient levels of vitamin D.
So, GQ, what can we do to help babies form strong teeth and bones?
Well, thankfully, Heinzie, parents can use vitamin D3 in supplement form, so we're giving the sunshine vitamin without the need for sunshine.
And we all know babies don't need any of that sunshine because they're already little rays of sunshine themselves.
Am I detecting a little bit of cluckiness, Heinzie?
Oh, I see what you did there, the eggs, the omelette, and for that reason, I'll be keeping this all to myself.
That's not fair.
The A to Z of Vitamins is brought to you by Ophthalin, Australia's #1 bone health brand.
Another great dish there from Heinzie and Gerald. GQ will be back to answer your burning health questions right after this. Welcome back to the House of Wellness. Got a quick pop quiz for you, Joe. Do you know what the body's largest internal organ is?
I really have no idea. Is it intestine or maybe the liver?
The liver it is. Well done, Joe. And if you give it a bit of a rough time, like eating badly, drinking too much, or getting stuck into the carbonated fizzy drinks, it's probably time for a rethink. And here's resident pharmacist Gerald Quigley with a lesson on investing a bit more on our insides.
Often it's a man that says to me, I have pre-diabetes, and I'm not quite sure what that means. Now, pre-diabetes is the name we attach to a group of symptoms which tends to show an increased risk for the real thing, diabetes. And it happens for a couple of reasons. Your pancreas may not be making enough insulin, or the insulin that's being produced may not be actually able to work efficiently when it comes to reducing your blood sugar. Either way, pre-diabetes can be a bit of a warning that things aren't quite right. What can you do? You can look at your weight management, keep in touch with your doctor for blood sugar levels, and consider using olive leaf extract. It's got some good evidence to show that it's helpful. Our liver is a very important organ. One question I'm often asked is why someone gets a fatty liver when they don't drink alcohol, because it's usually associated with drinking too much alcohol. Non-alcohol related fatty liver disease is one of the most common diseases in Western society. And that can be offset by using the herb called milk thistle. It's a very gentle herb and it works specifically on liver enzymes and liver function. And it's worth getting some advice about it as well. Blood pressure is sometimes called the silent killer. And that's because it sometimes creeps up on us and we unwittingly don't even know there's a problem. Lifestyle factors can play a role, getting some regular exercise, looking at our weight management, keeping our stress levels under control. But the herb of choice, with lots of clinical evidence to show its benefit, is aged garlic extract. Feel free to discuss it with your doctor or your healthcare practitioner.
Well, that was GQ there, delivering the A to Z of anatomy in his usual calm way. Joe, interesting about blood pressure. When was the last time you had your blood pressure checked?
It wasn't so long ago. I don't know exactly, but I do know that I have very low blood pressure. I barely have a pulse, because that's my family. We all have very low blood pressure. We're lucky because it's not good to have high. Are you high or low?
You strike me as pretty calm and pretty relaxed. It doesn't surprise me. I've got no idea, but this segment's inspired me to go and check it out and make sure that everything's okay. They tell me the normal number's 120 over 80, but a lot of athletes tend to have very low blood pressure.
It explains it. Well, being healthy from the inside is what it's all about. But if you've had a late night, one too many glasses of champers, or the occasional piece of chocolate, it can show on the outside too. So when it comes to hiding blemishes and dark circles, concealer is a magic wand.
Hi, I'm Jake Kisnorbo and I'm all about the latest beauty, hair and makeup trends.
And I'm Polly Harding, and working in radio, I've still got a lot to learn about the beauty biz.
Together, we're going to bust those beauty myths,
strip things back to basics and learn a few new tricks in the process.
Concealer is any artist or any beauty lover's secret weapon, really.
Okay, so we've got 3 different types of concealers today. Can you run us through them?
We do, and I think Maybelline do a really good job of having different concealers and a great range. So the Fit Me concealer is one of my special favourite concealers. This is nice and dewy, creamy. It's quite a light coverage concealer. And
is it for fit people?
Yeah, it just fits everyone. That's why it's called Fit Me. So I would always invest in 2 concealers, even 3 if you can. The reason for this is it has different purposes. So if you're going for a concealer to get rid of dark circles, any brownness or purple under the eyes, you would go for one with more of a undertone that corrects that. So Super Stay concealer works really well for pigmentation under your eye. It's got really great wand that you can just apply directly on and great colour range. And then there's also concealers that can even highlight your face. So you would go for a nice, fresh, light, dewy concealer that also may be a little bit lighter than your foundation. So this one is the best of both. It's the Instant Age Rewind Eraser. So I really love the consistency of this, and once again, the colour tones are really good if you need a bit of a brightening. And it's also probably the one that I would use to kind of sharpen your eye makeup or use as kind of like an eraser or corrector. So it's all about adding dimension to your face. Then if you did want to contour, you're welcome to get some darker shades and, you know, under your cheekbone, nose, anywhere the sun would hit, you can use that as a bit of a bronzing and contour tool.
I do love the sponge applicator, very easy to use, and it's really lightweight as well.
It's lightweight and it also gets rid of that step of having to use a brush.
So I think the thing we've learned about concealer is, you know, it's a small step to add into your routine and it really can take your look up to that next level.
100%. I think it takes the standard look up to a HD.
Coming up next, we turn the tables on Quizmaster Eddie Maguire as he goes under the spotlight and into the House of Wellness hot seat right after this. Welcome back. Well, it seems a lifetime ago, but it was just last year that the House of Wellness hit Hawaii, Jo.
Oh, it was such an amazing time. The people, the stories, the weather, food, just everything to us.
It was brilliant, wasn't it? Can't believe it was last October. It was also an opportunity that I don't get very often, even though I spend a lot of time with Eddie Maguire, as you know, yes. Jo, who I co-host Triple M's Hot Breakfast in Melbourne with, great friend of yours as well, but not often I get to turn the tables on him, and he agreed to answer a few hard and fast questions in the House of Wellness hot seat. First thing you do when you get up in the morning, Ed?
Feet on the ground straight away, Darcy, up as soon as the alarm goes, straight into the shower, as soon as the water hits the back of my head. It's a new day and away we go.
Who is your second favourite football team?
Second, Collingwood Reserves. Quite simple. But if it was going international, it's Glasgow Celtic in Scotland.
Least favourite food?
Oh, cabbage.
Yeah, OK. What's your biggest fear?
That I won't cram everything into one lifetime.
What's the 3 words you would use to describe yourself?
Good old Collingwood.
Oh, mate. If you could change anything in your life, what would it be?
Carlton. Get rid of them. Now, if I could change anything in my life, I would try to get life a bit fairer for kids particularly coming through and have the opportunities to live the life. I think Australia gives you the best opportunity possible, but if we could get more kids to dream and be able to realise their dreams and realise that their dreams can become a reality, I think that would be great for everyone.
Well said. Your favourite person?
Favourite person is the bloke I get up with every morning.
That was
mate.
what I was expecting. Thank you, mate.
Carla Maguire. Yeah.
Go to pub meal.
The Parmigiana. Yeah, the chicken Parmigiana can't be beat.
And what do you do to keep fit?
What do I do to keep fit? I actually like boxing. I like to hit the speed ball. I actually like to skip. And if I can get myself in any sort of shape, I actually still like to run.
Healthiest meal you've ever had?
Healthiest meal I've ever had? That's a very good question. I think anything with fish involved in it and salad, you actually feel healthy after having it.
Cooked by your beautiful wife,
Yes,
Carla,
and that's the thing, she actually cooks really well.
The most magical chef I've ever
We have a great
experienced.
relationship. She likes to cook and I like to eat.
What's the one thing people don't know about you?
That I'm a softy, Das, that I'm very in touch with my emotions.
I've been around here a long time. I haven't seen it.
That's why, you see.
We didn't know it about
You've got to drill a bit deep.
Well, Joe, I sit next to that man every morning, 5 days a week, but I learnt more in 60 seconds than I think I have in the last 11 years. It was pretty insightful.
Well, have you asked him, though, in the last 11 years, those questions?
No, I haven't, but I'm glad we did on the House of Wellness. And I know he's pumped at the moment, Eddie, because sport's back, and as the president of Collingwood, it's a great thing. And the nation returning to sport, stepping back into things that are normal is very exciting. Whatever the sport, it brings people together and will go a long way in rebuilding the connections that have been put on hold over the past few months, Joe.
Absolutely, and I can't wait to get the old black and white on and see Collingwood run out again, Das. I'm sure you can't wait for that.
You are a fanatical Collingwood supporter, Joe. It has to be said. Very disappointed in you. But I tell you what, I am, because we love the Bulldogs in my house, of course, but I'm excited for the junior sport. We've got a house full of kids that are so excited to get back and play. So with the AFL season back, junior sport not far behind. That's a very, very exciting thing. So much to look forward to, Joe.
Absolutely, Das. But today has been all about men's health. So for anyone who may have seen something on the show that got you thinking about your own health and well-being, then please take action to either see a doctor or talk to someone about how you're feeling. Please just do it. That's what Men's Health Week is all about.
Very well said, Joe. That is our show for today. Head to our website for more information on the House of Wellness website. Our Sunday Lift Out comes out featuring Steve Smith on the cover, which will be sensational. And tune in to Joe and GQ on the House of Wellness Radio every Sunday. And as always, thanks to our good friends at Chemist Warehouse. Stay well, and we'll see you soon.
Sharing time with friends.